Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Painting Minis with Dan and Sam. We've got a great episode lined up for you, but as you can see, kind of changed up my shot a little bit because I wanted to show you guys, from my opinion, why it is that we do these videos. Because as you can see, as I take you through this setup, and it's a small setup that I've put together with some of the Monster Scenery products that we offer, it's just cool to see all those painted minis next to all of these really neat accessories and buildings and all of this kind of stuff and playmats that we offer. This just really ups the enthrallment factor that you can put into each and every one of your tabletop games, and that's why we're doing this, because we want you guys to have the resources at your disposal to kind of take your games to the next level. Well, this episode we've got a couple of great minis set up for you. We've got the Blades mini from the Generation Red that Dan's going to be painting up, and then we've also got the Intrepid Media mini that I'm going to be painting up, which is part of the Edge Runners, which can be added to any faction that you want to put on the table. Both of them are pretty cool models, a lot of detail that's involved there. So let's get down to the table and get painting.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Dan from Monster Fight Club. Today I'm going to be painting Blades from the Generation Red gang from Cyberpunk Red Combat Zone. She's a great character both in-game and on the model. You can see she's in a dynamic pose here, skating along her electric blades with her sword out, ready to do some damage. She's a fast mover in the game and can do some really heavy hitting up close. So let's get started. We're going to start off with her skin here, some Cadian flesh tone, or my go-to flesh color here. Just on her hands and face is a nice small detail, but working my way inside out. We're going to get right into the contrast paints next with Volupus Pink. It gives us good coverage here. I dabbed it on a little bit too heavy, so I'm spreading it around to make sure I get a nice even coat. And then we're going to move over to the jacket, which is probably the largest part of her, but an important one. So unlike other things, this is a white jacket, so it's a little bit different. So I'm starting with Ulthuan Gray. And Ulthuan Gray gives you a nice base layer. Really helps to make it stand out. By itself, it looks gray, but when you put it next to other colors, it really has that white look to it. Then I'm going to use a little bit of purple here for her hair, just a little detail to brighten up some colors, and then I switch over to Emperor's Children Pink. This is for the cat ears on top of the hood, and then also the trim around the jacket as well. Down the center, around her pockets, the trim along the base. Again, just a nice little pop of color to highlight the white that's going around the jacket and along her pants as well. So wrapping around here, making sure everything's got a good coat, and then we switch over to our metallics, where we always go to Lead Belcher, our go-to here. Covering the whole sword all the way up the handle, and of course her electric skates as well. But we're going to put a nice color effect on that shortly, but again, we're just getting the base tones down. Circle around, make sure we get a nice even spread. Want to make sure it's got good coverage on everything. Metallics are a little bit tricky, so you want to make sure you get every area you can. A little bit on her eyepiece, and then we could switch it up here for it. So I switch over to Xerxes Purple, just another little pop of color on the calves of the blades here, just to give them a little breakup before we start getting into the washes. So for this, I'm using Apothecary White. This is a contrast paint that's actually a really good shade for white colors. Next, and go to Agrax Earthshade, which will cover over the rest of the model here, all the purples and all the metallics, gives it that little grungy feel. And then once we let that dry, we're going to get into our, retouching up our colors and add a little bit more accents. So I'll go to Runefang Steel first. This is a brighter silver. This covers over the model here, giving that nice two-tone metallic look. Make sure you're staying in the details, letting that recessed shading really fit in there and bring this model to life. Now I'm going to use some white scar, and the effect for this is I'm going to put a contrast over this to give it a nice glowing feeling. So it puts them on the sword, puts them on the roller skates, where I want a nice brighter color that looks more electric, more vibrant. Again, something you'd see in Night City. So making sure it's a thin coat, put a little on the goggles. Before I do that though, I'm going to go back to that Ulthuan Gray and touch up the coat, leaving that deeper shade of Apothecary White, and there it gives that nice little gray tint. It really gives detail and contrast to the coat that she's wearing. Going over the hood, make sure I can try to avoid the ears as much as possible, but again, a quick touch up of that would be no problem. Going back to that Xerxes Purple here, just a little accent down the side of her leg, gives her some more character, more detail, touch up the hair, and then before going back to Cadian Flesh Tone and touching up the face and the hands. Emperor's Children pink again, bringing that pink back to vibrant color here. It's a standout pop color feature for her, so we definitely want to have that predominant. Now I'm going to go back to those contrasts. Like I said, this is Talisar blue, and I'm covering the skates, and Aethermatic blue for the sword. Just give a little two-tone electric look for it there. So the blades glow blue, the sword glows a little bit of a greenish blue. Put 2 dots of red on her eyepiece. And then I also go back to a Warpstone Glow here for the little design on the back of her jacket. I was told it's actually supposed to be a tail, but I kind of like the little pop of color of green along the white and the pink. So what I'm doing here is just taking a little excess off here with a clean, fresh brush. Put a little bit too much on there, but ultimately you can see the finished product comes out pretty easy with a couple quick steps. Thanks for watching. This was Blades from Generation Red, and hope to stay tuned and watch out for more painting videos. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And here we have the Intrepid Media, or the Media 2 from the Edgerunners D-Pack that's available on our website. She has the ability of a surveillance scan that allows her to make a free yellow move if she's visible with any rivals. It only costs 10 points to add to your faction. So we're going to go ahead and get started with a blend of Barbarian Flesh and Leather Brown here. I wanted to give her a little bit of a darker complexion, as her card says that she has. Then I moved on to an ash gray for her shirt. The shirt on the actual packaging is a little bit lighter than this, but I like this color a little bit better, and it's going to have a pretty good contrast with what I'm going to make the tactical vest that she's wearing later on, matte black. So the ash gray worked out pretty good here. I did have to do a lot of touch-up work. There's a lot of detail on this model. But anyway, moving on to deep blue for the base coat of what her jeans are going to look like. And I'm going to try to dry brush some crystal blue and maybe even electric blue on there to try to mimic that denim pattern that jeans have. So just a real generous coat here. Moving on to skeleton bone for her satchel. I thought it was a good base color for that. It's going to darken it up with some with a soft tone later on, so it should have a pretty cool effect. Now moving on to that matte black that I alluded to earlier for her tactical vest. Not really a whole lot of armor protection. Maybe there is, but not like what you'd see a police officer wearing. But definitely I can see, some pressers wearing this in a war zone. So I thought it was a pretty cool idea. We just went with a base coat of matte black all over it, and we'll come back a little bit after that, after it's dried. As you can see here, I did some of those touch-ups. Had to do those off camera because my eyesight is just not what it used to be, and on top of that, I don't have any of those fancy binoculars that people were talking about. This is the product after it's already dried, after applying that soft tone to the entirety of the model. It worked out really good. I like the way it looks, and now we're just going to work on some touch-ups and highlights with some modified dry brushing techniques. So here I'm dry brushing that shining silver onto the rest of the tactical gear, just to give it a metallic look, but mainly just wanting to catch the top edges and kind of let some of those details pop on it. I also went back and did the press letters on her shoulders and on the chest in skeleton bone. That was a little that was a little touchy. Here I'm just providing some touch-ups on what I would imagine her satchel has metallic things on it. And then I went back with crystal blue as the foundational color here for all of these lights and lenses and screens that she has all over her person, basically. And then I'm coming back with electric blue, providing just a little bit inside the edges of that crystal blue. And finally, what I'll do is come back here with the Void Shield blue, which is another shade, a lighter shade of blue, and just provide some finishing pops of color for those screens and lights and lenses. Then I'm coming back and touching up with the skin tone a little bit that I mentioned earlier. And here is the crystal blue kind of dry brush that I'm doing for the jeans effect. It turned out pretty good. I was very happy with it. doing a couple other pops of color. I figure she's recording footage here, so I put some pops of red as recording lights. Did uniform gray as a dry brush on the base. Cleaned up the edge of the base with some more matte black. And here she is, the Intrepid Media miniature from Cyberpunk Red. She turned out really well. Thanks for watching. Let's get back up top. Well, that's about it for this episode of Painting Minis with Dan and Sam. Next week, we're going to go ahead and take that week off that we usually do, and we'll come back the following 3 weeks with 3 more videos for you. Next week, I will be at Dice Tower West, representing the company and playing games with people that are in attendance there. So if you see me, please feel free to stop by, say hi. I'll be running demos of Combat Zone and Tentacle Down. So at different times, if you're interested in either of those, just let me know. We certainly hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we are looking forward to the next one. We hope you are too. Join us on our Discord channel and any of our other social media outlets, and we'll see you there. Until then, we'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.